The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Can the Jets add some playmakers in the first round of the NFL draft? We're going to be breaking down the film on two of the most polarizing offensive targets for the NYJ. Joe Blewett will be here to break down the film. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Wish it could have been a Jet, Fernando.
Let's see what happens.
What's your message to the Jet fans in New York?
Jets, Jets.
A new chapter for the Jets has started. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are tasked with shaping the future of this franchise. Will they be the ones to finally get it right? We will be here for every step of the journey on the Jake Asman Show, breaking down all the storylines, every game, and everything in between. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. The Jake Asman Show starts right now.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. It is indeed the Jake Asman Show. Show number 2 on the day. Robbie Sabo joined us for our first show. If you have not done so already, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are 70 subscribers away from 45,000. And because of that, I'm throwing myself a draft party, baby. That's right, RSVP. If you're joining us in Pittsburgh, 16 days, 3 hours, 34 minutes, and 19 seconds from right now, as we take over McFadden's right next to the NFL draft, it is going down. Spread the word to any Jet fan you know making the trip to Pittsburgh. Free draft party, just like going to the draft is free. Our party is going to be all day long, Thursday, April 23rd. With that, we say hello right now to our guy, Joe Blewett from JetX, JetsXFactor.com. Joe, I've been getting super chats. I've been getting comments. I've been getting tweets all about Jeremiyah Love and if the Jets should take him at 2. Lou B has radicalized half my audience at times, it feels like, into breaking down Jeremiyah Love, and he wants him at 2. We're going to get to the film on him and the film on Kenyon Sadiq, who's another option at 16 if the Jets want a pass catcher. But how are we feeling right now? You've done all the film study on the key guys here. How are we feeling 16 days out from this draft?
These days are crawling, man. It's brutal. It's brutal on Twitter. Like the tribalism, if you like one guy, you have to hate the other one with the Bailey and Reese stuff. And obviously last week I was more negative on Bailey, but I actually don't even hate Bailey. But put in a situation like that, I can't be overly positive. So yeah, it's grueling right now. All the projection, all of the rumors, Jets are interested in this guy, this team's interested in. I just cannot wait to get it over with and see who the Jets actually have on their team. It is brutal right now. These next 2 weeks are just going to drag.
And it's just new rumors every day. We'll get your thoughts on the latest Bailey Reese debate. This time it's Daniel Jeremiyah and it's Peter Schrager saying the Jets leaning towards Bailey, not Reese. We'll get your thoughts on that in a bit, but let's get right to the film because we got a lot to get into here with Jeremiyah Love. In terms of just what you were expecting, right? You hear people say he's the best player in the draft. Did the film live up to that? Do you see why people feel he's the best overall player regardless of position?
Yeah, I think he probably has the highest ceiling of all the players. Like him, Reese, Styles have probably the highest 3 ceilings in the draft. Like if they are to hit their ceilings. And I know Lou loves Love. I like him. I expected a little bit more, to be transparent, just in terms of like some vision stuff that we'll look at a little bit. But it's undoubtable. Like his explosion, the home run threat he is, the agility he has, the balance he has, the ability in the receiving game is all, really wonderful with him. But at the end of the day, taking a running back at 2 could be a fireable offense, considering where the team is. Like we're kind of talking about pre-show, it's like Saquon Barkley is making about $20 million a year, and Alec Pierce, who's like a good number 2, is making $28 million a year. So it really speaks to the value or the lack thereof value at the running back position. So I don't think it's a move you make at 2. Now, it's a situation where, for some reason Love is falling, medicals or whatever it may be, and you can nab him, 10, 11, if you want to trade up a little bit, he falls to 16 in some world, which I do not see at all, then fine. At 2, I think it'd be a reach, not because of the player. And again, I did expect a little bit more from him, but you can't take a running back at 2 where the Jets are. You know, like if it was a situation where, like, let's say the Chiefs had a Mahomes injury or he got a setback this year, and then they were like the number 2 or 3 overall pick because of whoever their backup is, which is really bad, then yeah, maybe like if he's your finishing piece. But with all the Jets need right now, I'm sorry, Lou, but you can't take Love at 2.
A lot to get into with Jeremiyah Love. We will get to the film. We also have Asmaniac Madness coming up. PBM and King Lowski are facing off, so voting for that will open up in just a bit. You're watching the Jake Asman Show presented by PrizePicks, and we have a giveaway prize I want to share because a bunch of you have already jumped in and won in on it. Signed Wayne Corbett helmet. I'm going to combine the entries from this show and our first show tomorrow morning. So you have 2 shots at winning a Wayne Corbett helmet. Make sure you enter for your chance to win. Shout out to Rasta Dread 305 and Common Country for being the first 2 Asmaniacs to enter. And PBM trying to get in the good graces of the voters, gifting a 5 spot to the community. We have now 7 entries in the Asmaniac raffle so far. Yeah.
It's Jets, Jets. I love Fireman Ed too.
PBM, thank you. Good luck against the great King Lowski. All right, let's get to the film. Let's break it down. Jeremiyah Love. Everyone can now see your screen, Joe, so take it away.
Yeah, I got like 12-ish plays. Some of them are pretty quick of Love, but the one thing he does offer you is he's a legitimate pass-catching threat. If you don't use him as a receiver at times, if you don't use him in the screen game, whatever it may be, angle routes out of the backfield being like a primary receiving threat, you know, first, second, third read in your progression, I think you're using him wrong. So this is one of the first reps I watched of him versus Miami. And I know people want me to circle him, but I try to circle with the cursor. So hopefully you can see the big ass cursor. That's the reason for doing it. But he's right. Yeah. He's right here in this. I know somebody's like, hey, can you make a box around them? I'm trying my best here, but he's right here in top slot. And we'll talk about the route a little bit. And he gets hung up a little bit because this receiver gets jammed or he just doesn't get vertical as quick as he does. But he does a good job here with this route. And again, like he's a legitimate pass catching option. Now the ball is behind. It's not a good ball by the quarterback. And we'll talk about it a little bit more. But he does a really good job here on the sail route, right? Stemming the DB to the inside. DB is forced to open his hips because of Love's speed. Love then undercuts him, gets vertical and outside. What I love too is the hand usage of Love right here. You're going to see the right arm chop down on the outside arm of the DB, just in case he is to grab Love's chest or the shoulder. He's going to defeat that hand so he can't kind of slingshot himself back onto the route. Breaks to the outside, creates plenty of separation here. You see the DB is quite literally falling over himself, breaks to the outside. Now, unfortunately, because this receiver didn't get vertical enough, Love kind of has to jump here to avoid some like traffic. So it slows him up a little bit. Like you can see, he quite literally has a jump here to avoid that traffic. And the ball is behind. But in terms of the route, the hand usage, the stem, the ball is behind, not good from, I think, is it Leonard, right? Is it Riley Leonard is their quarterback? Balls behind too, but you can see like, hey, this dude is a legit receiving option. And I'll show you another play in a little bit where he makes a really good one-handed catch on a wheel route versus a blown coverage. But he is a legit receiving option. So something you have to take into account for him. So he's definitely a valuable player. And I think if he hits his ceiling in terms of like who's the best at their position, he could be the best running back in the league. He legitimately could. He's that explosive. We'll talk about some of the shortcomings with his build and just how we'll get into the weaknesses, but how like people call it like leggy, like how much a lot of his body is legs, and sometimes that can kind of prevent you with quick change of direction. But nonetheless, so I'll play this one through and then we'll talk about it a little bit. But they're running like an inside mid zone. So the aiming point's going to be like the B gap, the hip or the inside hip of the tackle, and his first read here is most likely going to be Ruben Bain, and Ruben Bain resets the line of scrimmage nice and low, right? Doing what Ruben Bain does, who's, by the way, still a top 5 player for me in this class, regardless of his arm length. He's still a really good player. But as he reads this, right, he sets a really strong edge. So ideally, if there were an interior gap a little bit more open here, Love would bend this run back and hit vertical. But unfortunately, there's really not a lot of room here, right? Like this is a pretty tight area. Can't cut it back into the A gap. So At this point, he's forced to bounce the run to the outside. And what he does here is really good with his hand usage. He has like a really subtle stiff arm. It's not like a Derrick Henry stiff arm, but he stiff arms guys just enough to kind of give himself the outside alley quite a bit, it's really fun to watch. And right here, he's trying to get outside on Bane. The right hand comes out. I know it's a little bit grainy, but the right hand comes out onto Bane's shoulder, hits the shoulder, which then obviously is going to kind of shorten Bane's length. And this is a play where you could talk about, hey, maybe Bane, if he was a little bit longer, maybe he gets a hand on and makes this play. He's not able to because of Love's bounce paired with the stiff arm. Obviously, the hurdle's great, right? Like he sees this dude starting to look low, starting to kind of bend down, times it well, hurdles him, gets him. But next play, this is a quick one from Love. And this one was this game. I don't know. I forget what game this was, like who this team is, to be transparent. I'm not the biggest college football guy in the world, but a little bit grainy here. So I apologize at the end. But this is a blown coverage. And he just runs a wheel route out of the backfield. And they blow it. So he's completely wide open, but it's a one-handed catch for a touchdown. So we'd like to see that from Love. Finish at the end there. But again, just showing some of the receiving prowess that he has of the ball that's, a little bit too far out in front of him. Again, a little bit grainy here at the end. So I apologize for that, but got to show a one-handed catch, right? Too far out in front of him to reach with one hand or to reach with two hands, reaches out with the one, snags it, pulls it in, races on, lower the shoulder, get in for a touchdown. So again, a legit receiving option out of the backfield.
How would you compare Breece Hall for some context on Love as a receiving option versus Breece?
I think Love's more explosive. Like his even Breece in his heyday, like in his rookie year before he got injured, I think Love is just he's better acceleration. He's more explosive. I think he's a little bit more nuanced of a route runner, like with his hand usage and stuff. So Breece always has the ability, like he always had the ability to run routes, but you never actually like saw him run really crisp and clean routes, like in terms of stemming guys correctly with like getting off the ball, getting to the top of the break. You didn't see the hand usage as much. So I think Love is more nuanced with his route running. Like he understands it more. And then Love, and again, I like Breece and all that, but they're on different tiers of explosion. Now, like maybe top speed, Breece can sniff them. But in terms of acceleration, there's no way. The advantage I will give Breece over Love, and Breece doesn't do this often, but he can if he lowers his shoulder. I think he's a little bit stronger than Love. My main issues with Love, and we'll talk about them in the weakness segment, is he could be a little bit hurdle happy. Undoubtedly, he just hurdles too much. He has to protect himself. His vision can be a little bit spotty, and then just physically, he's very high legged, so that sometimes that could prevent a quick change of direction. And then overall, short yardage situations, you don't really want, like, you're not going to put him on the goal line, I don't think, consistently to just hit the A gap. So, but in terms of receiving, yeah, he's more nuanced and he's just more explosive. So if you do not use Love in the receiving game, that OC should probably be fired. Like realistically, like you have to use him in the receiving game. And this is part of it too. Pass pro. There was like rumblings that, he's not the best in pass pro and stuff. Like sometimes willing, sometimes not. Sometimes the technique is not good. He does a pretty damn good job from the I think I watched 5 or 6 games. I watched, just for context, because I like to tell people, I watched Miami, Texas A&M, USC, Boston College, and Pitt. So I didn't watch the entire season, but 5 or 6 games is usually where I feel like I have a good feel for these guys. So right here, he's just keying on 21. The left guard to the right tackle are going to be like a slide protection, which is going to be like basically zone blocking, but in pass pro. So they're all going to shuffle to their right. And then on the back side, you have the left tackle who's locked up against the D end here. So he's going to be reading 21 right off the jump. And he does a really good job in pass protection, in my opinion, both in terms of technique and willingness. I didn't see any unwillingness from him. Now, maybe the other 6 or 7 games, there's some unwillingness, but personally, I cannot speak to the unwillingness part. I did not see it, but does a good job, right? Nice base from Love, nice and low, hands inside, matching. You want your upper body to kind of match that shin angle. It's like the best way for just power, just like some stupid body mechanic stuff, but does a good job with the base. Again, good leverage, hands inside, jolts that blitzer back. giving his quarterback plenty of room to get rid of the ball. So I thought he was pretty good in pass pro too. So it's not like, hey, yeah, he's a receiving option, but he's not a willing blocker. The technique is bad. So, it's a little bit convoluted where you don't want him in on third down. I think that's BS if people are saying that about Love. And I have one more where it's a pass pro pancake right here from Love, and I'll play it and then we'll talk about it a little bit. But some physicality from him at the end there, finishing it, which I love from him. So no pun intended. But obviously, he's looking out for that blitzer to his right side, right? The corner blitz. Again, good base, upper body, matching ideally, like when you're getting into a block, and this is not every block, but like in this situation, and just like the nerdy stuff, if your upper body matches your shin angle, that's what you want, with the thighs at the exact opposite angle. Like this is perfect biomechanics in terms of strength into a block. I know it's nerdy stuff, but this is what you want to see. Lands his hands inside, knocks the shit out of that corner. Apologize for the French, but I know you guys curse on here. And then he finishes it as well, right? So great play from him. So I think he's good in pass protection. So I get it. But some of the vision stuff, Luby, is where I was a little bit like, okay, I wanted a little bit more. I have 3 positive left, and I'll get into 5 negative, and then Sadiq is going to be a little bit shorter. But balance. So here, I forget if it's like an inside zone, where it's gonna be like more guard, or like a tight zone, which should be a little bit more to the inside. But this is just showing off his balance. And these are like, I could show the 99-yard runs, whether they're open or whatever it is, but I want to see some like the balance and just like some of the things that I value more than like wide open runs. So this isn't like the best play in the world in terms of, hey, it's not a 99-yard touchdown. It's a 10-yard gain. But the balance here from him is pretty ridiculous. So you really like to see it. Obviously breaking tackles like he is, but initially looks like he's reading. It looks like he's reading the what is that the center or that? Okay, so he looks like he's reading the A gap initially. So he's reading 33, and 33 widens into that A gap. His track's a little bit more vertical, so it's going to be very hard for him to get to the outside here. And with 33 there anyway, he's going to cut that run up. Okay, so read 33, cut the run up. 76 has that outside leverage on 1, so he's going to get vertical, right? A little bit of foot traffic, so he hurdles, takes a shot mid-hurdle, maintains the balance. 0, then the linebacker or the safety, whoever he is, gets another hit on him. Still able to maintain the balance, get the hand on the ground to keep himself up, churns forward for an extra 5 yards there. So really good balance from him. So you see the acceleration, you see the balance, you see the top flight speed, just the explosion he has. Again, very tantalizing prospect. This one is dirty. This is a touchdown from him. It's a counter OT. So counter O T part. If he was like an H back, he'd be counter O H. If he was like a fullback, more in a fullback position, it'd be counter OF. And then there's then there's counter GT, which is counter GT. There's a bunch of different kind of counters, but nonetheless, this is a counter OT. So we'll watch it and we'll talk about it a little bit. And right, just letting his blocks set up. You don't want to push vertical too quickly because it's a little bit longer developing. Kick out from the guard to the edge right there. You're going to follow your lead blocker right here, the tight end. Hit it vertical, nice patient feet. Reading it, right? Inside to outside leverage, outside to inside leverage. You're obviously going to hit that gap. He does. Sees this DB working hard over the top. Spin move.
Lou B wrote in, please show the big runs also. That satisfy you, Lou? Or we know you're the leader of the Jeremiyah Love fan club, trying to radicalize everyone in the chat. I think the thing that people struggle with is like, you could really like the player and think he's awesome and just not think it makes sense for a team that won 3 games last year that actually has a running back who went over 1,000 yards to invest the second overall pick in that guy. Yeah, and you need receivers, and you need an interior offensive lineman, and you need playmakers on defense. Like I like Love, I do. And for Lou B, it's not like purposely that I'm trying to not show the big plays. It's just like some of the big plays, it was relatively open, where I'm trying to show like more of like, hey, this is more nuanced stuff from him. So I feel like in terms of like for the film geeks, I'm actually showing the more positive stuff instead of like, oh, he just outran a guy to the sideline. Like I didn't really want to show that stuff so much. So I think I'm being super positive on him right now. But
Yeah, nonetheless, I like him. And again, like we're kind of talking about it, it's not like, oh my God, you hate Love or you love Love. Like there's gray areas. I could like Love, but doesn't think he fits the timeline of the Jets right now. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like I think he has a ridiculously high ceiling, but the Jets have so many needs right now that you can't draft a running back, in my opinion, when you have Breece, who, Love could be a top 5 running back in the league. Breece is probably, depending on your personal opinion on him, like near top 10-ish, 8, 10, 12, something like that. So, it just doesn't make sense, in my opinion. But nonetheless, we have one more play of the positives, and this is where you just see some of the speed take over, where a guy without his speed, nothing right here. So again, draw, right? Pushing vertical. There's nothing here. There's nothing open vertically. So forced to cut that run back outside, right? Because he's not getting any yardage here. Bounces it, and this is another situation where, hey, I have to attack that outside shoulder of this defender to open myself up. Really nice, well-timed. Let me see if it's a stiff arm or a chop. Yeah, so again, stiff arms that shoulder, and obviously when you push that shoulder back, it's going to shorten the length of your arm. So very, very well-timed stiff arm. And now the race is on. Now this is a situation where many running backs are not going to win this battle in terms of getting to the sideline on that DB, but he has absurd acceleration and speed. So a run that for most people is probably a tackle for a loss, no gain. You're talking about, let's call it started the 55, 10, 15, 20, 25 yards out of absolutely nothing, really. So again, like you could see it, like, hey, this guy on the right team with some development in terms of like the vision, which we'll talk about, he could be the best running back in the league in a few years, right? Like Barkley's he's getting a little bit older, right? Henry's getting a little bit older. CMC is getting a little bit older. So he's probably really competing with like Bijan. I know Genti had like 3.5 yards per carry last year. I didn't watch him like snap by snap, so I don't know, but he could be a top 3 running back, in the next year or two, really. So I get it, but it's just, it is what it is with the positional value type stuff. This
Joe,
is
before you get to the negatives, let me just get caught up here because we got some new people jumping in. I want to shout out the King Lowski, who just like PBM, his opponent, he gifted a 5-spot of channel memberships. I also want to make sure I hit the super chat from Mike. He wanted to know, can you compare Love to Hall pre and post ACL? So the Breece you saw rookie year before he tore his ACL, how does that compare to Jeremiyah Love on tape?
You're saying pre. Like I said, he's a different level of explosion. Like I think Breece was an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Love is a 10 out of 10. Like there's really not much faster than him. I don't know if it'd be a faster running back, like starting running back in the NFL. I don't think he's leveled like I don't think he's Chris Johnson. I don't think he's the elite of the elite of the elite. I think Chris Johnson's probably the fastest running back ever, but he's like a slight tick behind him. Like he's ridiculously explosive. Now post ACL, Breece is obviously not the same player. He still hit like 22 miles per hour last year, right? So he's still like his long speed is still very good. I just don't think his acceleration is as good as it used to be. So again, I think Breece, is going to my head the 9th best running back in the NFL. But value wise, you're talking about drafting a running back at 2. He's already a top 10 paid, top 5 maybe paid running back in the league. So he better be a superstar right off the bat. And then again, just positional value wise, the Jets need a lot more, right? Like how much of an impact is Love going to make, or more of an impact is Love going to make than Breece Hall versus like a receiver 2 or a D end or whatever it may be. It's just, again, Saquon's getting $20 million a year. Alec Pierce is getting $28 million a year. There's a reason, because running backs are very dependent on their offensive line for the most part. And that's why it never, ever made sense to bring in Le'Veon Bell, a very patient running back who depends on his offensive line, to a team with a shitty offensive line who you need to hit stuff immediately. So it wouldn't make sense for the Jets. But again, in a trade down, he's sitting there 7-8. Okay, I think you can entertain it. At 2, I'm sorry, I can't do it, Lou.
You got to love the New York Jets, baby. We're presented by PrizePicks. Make sure you download the PrizePicks app. Play $5, get $50 instantly. I put together a prize pick lineup that I shared during the first show today. Hopefully a bunch of you who caught it live placed the prize pick lineup that I did. Mark Vientos, I need you to get 1 hit today. Aaron Judge, I'm going to the Yankee game tonight. I need you to get 1 hit. And boom, I hit on my 2-pick power play with PrizePicks. Cash money. Make your own lineups with PrizePicks. Brand new sponsor, presenting sponsor of the program. Shout out to PrizePicks for being part of the program. Download the app. Promo code HMN. Hey, again, play $5. You get $50 instantly in lineups. Check it out for yourself with the PrizePicks app. All right, before we get to some of the negatives with Jeremiyah Love, and then we're going to get to Kenyon Sadiq, let's set the stage for Asmaniac Madness now. It's a great one today. A guy who was in the championship game a year ago, King Lowski, a 6 seed this year, taking on Purple Belt Mike, a 3 seed inside the grown-ass man region. Earlier today, Big Cho knocked out V-Man to advance to the Sweet 16. So it's Gorman and Big Cho at the top half of the bracket. Now to the bottom of the bracket we move to. King Lowski, PBM. They'll duke it out now. Tomorrow on the show, it's Party with Peganardi and Bobby Midnight going head-to-head. But right now we need to vote between Mike and the King, and PBM has submitted this on behalf of the PBM campaign.
That's Maniac Madness. Who you got? Yeah. PBM, let's go. Step in the bracket. Yeah, the pressure on max. Purple belt Mike, yeah, I'm coming for that. King Lowski, the opponent is gonna be tough. When the boats come in, watch the numbers go up. PBM, yeah, you know the name on the mat or the mic. I'm controlling the game. Grip tight, lock in, no escape when I move. Submission, the decision, either way, I'll prove. Crowd going crazy, yeah, they chanting it loud. Vote PBM, yeah, I'm making them proud. From the ground to the crown, yeah, I'm taking that spot. One round, one shot, give it everything I got. So when you hit that vote, don't think twice, just slam it. Purple belt Mike, Asmaniac Madness champion.
Where's the Molly? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to vote. Hit it.
Who's gonna be the best of the bunch? Asmaniac Madness. You get to pick the ones that make the show rock.
Vote. PBM or King Lowski. Unbelievable. Joe, who you got?
That was excellent. I've interacted with PBM, so I guess I have to go him. I don't know if I've ever interacted with Lowski. So just based on me seeing PBM more on this channel, and maybe some other channels, I guess my vote has to go for him. And that video was obviously great. That's an awesome line. Where's the Molly? So yeah, that got me going a little bit. I like that one.
Yeah, let's go. We'll hear from PBM on the line in just a bit. He'll be our first caller. If Lowski calls in, he'll be second caller up. Ladies and gentlemen, back to the film review with our guy, Joe Blewett. And before, let me just remind people again, we got a Wayne Corbett signed helmet up for grabs. Make sure you enter before the show ends. You'll have this show and then tomorrow as well. All right, whenever you're ready, Joe. That's right. Show it off. You want a signed Wayne Corbett helmet last time.
Is it this one? Is it this one, the Green Lantern?
No, unfortunately, that was one of one. I won that on an auction. Got a good deal on it. But I mean, I'm glad you won it. Is that a full-size helmet?
Yeah, it's full size. It's a replica, so you can't actually rock it. You can't wear it, but it looks beautiful.
That's unreal. I had no idea that was full. I thought it was a mini helmet. That is a great raffle prize. Then it was the same price as a mini helmet, and that is some deal.
Yeah. I've gotten really lucky. We texted after. It's like I think I've donated like 7 times. I think I have 3 prizes from you. So I'm super like my man cave in here really kind of livened up because of you. This is from you, that and that. So donate and get some prizes.
I am stunned that is a full-size helmet. I have no idea. That was like $100, and they're usually 300 or 400 easily for something.
No,
like
it's legit.
That is awesome. It came with the authentication too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm glad you won it. You know what? That is awesome. You deserve it. Anyway, all right, back to the film review. Here we go.
People who hate me or hate me more now, like that son of a bitch. I've donated 100 times. I've never won once. I'm sorry. Maybe if I win another one, I'll donate it to somebody. But I'm going to be a little bit selfish. So I think this one's a screen. And really my point here is, and you're going to see it a few times, he definitely, and I think I saw Dylan say it in the chat, he spams the Y button a little bit too much. He does hurdle. You got to protect your neck a little bit. In this situation, you have 4 defenders in his vision closing down on him. At this point, you kind of got to live to fight another down, put your head down and just churn forward for an extra few yards. In what world are you going to avoid 4 guys with a hurdle? So he's going to get himself knocked out at the NFL level if he keeps hurdling like he does, because he is undoubtedly hurdle happy. And here he takes a huge shot into the ribs. So plays like this, like, who cares? You didn't get hurt. NFL safety, NFL linebacker lunging into your ribs like that, you may be talking about broken ribs, a collapsed lung. You can't be hurdling as much as he hurdles, especially into pie. First time is, I think when he gets contact, he only has one. Yeah, dude, you got one hand on the ball there too, and you're taking a shot like that. You're talking about very high risk for broken ribs and a fumble right there, NFL level, with only one hand on the ball. So do not love that from him. Again, this is another one a little bit hurdle happy where something opens up, pistol. I forget if it's like outside zone, mid zone, inside zone, whatever it is. Okay, so it looks like more inside zone here, and we'll watch it and we'll talk about it a little bit. But it's another situation where he kind of just he can tend to just jump. And here, he does a fine job, right? Like he's pressing vertical. Presses vertical. The A gap right here is going to get clogged up by 27. So bounces to the outside. And when you're looking to the outside here, in terms of just reading it, you have outside leverage versus inside leverage. You have a pancake, and then you have inside versus outside, right? Like this is a gap that you should start to press. Instead of pressing that gap, he just jumps into the back of 76, where if he were to string this out a little bit longer and then push vertical here, hurdle this. So he can tend to just jump too early. And now you're talking about a gain of, let's say he does jump over this, maybe gets tackled by 3, probably not though. And you're talking about potentially a house call here. But in situations where it gets a little bit murky, again, he tends to leave his feet, which I do not love. So there we are with that one. I got 3 left of some of the negatives. This is a little bit of the concern, like not concerning vision, but it's definitely not elite enough for me. Like, take this guy at 2. Now, if it was a situation, Jets are in a different situation, he's perfect with his vision and stuff, then I understand it, but it's not like he's absent of weaknesses either. So they run like a double ISO on this play. So you're going to see a gap open up for him, and then him just bounce the run to the outside for lesser yards. So again, I don't always love the vision, but you have both of the H-backs here, inserting into the A gap. You have really good blocks. Again, outside versus inside. He pushes vertical. Now it's a situation where you have a lead blocker versus 21, and you have a gap here. You have a gap here vertically. I'm going to push it a little bit more forward. I know it's not lagging. I'm just doing it frame by frame, right? So again, you're reading hats, right? This is an open gap, especially with this lead blocker taking the fight to 21 and him having that outside leverage on him. This is a gap you want to hit. And if he does hit this quick enough, you're talking about a one-on-one situation with him with 25. You also have a blocker to the outside here. So maybe you could press vertical, bounce it then to the outside and let that block take place. Or, even if he does tackle you, you're still getting an extra, 10 or so yards here. Instead of just hitting this vertical, bounces it to the outside and loses himself quite a few yards there, potentially a huge gain. So I don't always love the vision from him, which is less than ideal when you're talking about number 2 overall pick. So you have to be really, really, really critical. And when I see plays like that, I'm like, why is he bouncing here? Like, what did he see here that made him want to bounce? And I legitimately do not know what he's seeing here that he wants to bounce that run to the outside. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. So 2 more. This one's more like, so he's to the top of the screen here, and they run a screen to him. And the point I want to kind of bring up here, and it's not even like anything I have to really break down, but it's a situation where it ends up being 2 blockers versus 2 defenders. This dude, I believe, goes to the inside, or he works to the inside. So you have 2 blockers versus 2 defenders, and then Love gets the ball. It's a situation where, again, you're talking about the number 2 overall pick. I don't care what happens here. You got to get a touchdown in this situation. So again, hat on a hat, he gets the ball in space, freeze frame, right? Number 2 overall pick. Get the touchdown, right, Jake? Like I don't think I'm asking for too much here. Read your blocks, do whatever you got to do. He catches the ball. You could see pretty early on that this inside defender it has inside leverage on this blocker. And he's clearing that block, and he kind of he runs directly into him. Now I know I'm like doing it frame by frame here, but it's a play where I watch him like, man, in that situation, I really, really want to see this guy get a touchdown by lowering his shoulder, juking a guy, having good vision. And he kind of he's pretty easily declared right here. He has 3 or 4 yards to avoid him, and he kind of just tries to spin him So, when I'm watching plays like this, I'm like, all right, it is what it is.
I don't think you're wrong for nitpicking because, again, we're talking about taking a running back second overall. This guy has to be not good right away. He has to be one of the top
Elite.
5 running backs in the sport immediately. You don't get a grace period. So I think you want to be overcritical because if you're going to make that type of decision that some Jet fans, Neil, Luby, the love truthers want to now all of a sudden make, you have to be sure that you're getting that level of player.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to be hypercritical of these guys, because one, like you mentioned, but also like the transition to the NFL level, right? So like all of this stuff matters, bouncing runs where you have a gap, like those gaps are only going to be smaller at the NFL level. So if you can't see wide open gaps versus Miami, are going to be able to see, smaller gaps versus the Bills. So yeah, you have to be hypercritical of all these guys, and you always give context, right? Like they may have struggled because of the system or the situation or whatever it may be. But when I'm seeing a screen like that and you got 2 hats on 2 hats and he has 4 yards to make a play on that, a guy who's engaged, he's not even not engaged, you don't get a touchdown. I'm like, all right. Again, it's not something that's necessarily ideal. I've said love quite a few times. Maybe it's his name. So this is the last play of him. And this is where you see some like the likeness of him. And again, this is a nitpicky play, but like you said, Jake, you're giving me the runway to be overly critical. It's actually not even overly critical. People probably think it is, but it is what it is. His legs sometimes they're very long. So again, it can prevent that short change of direction. And also sometimes he strides too long when he's reading runs. And I think one of the best players that I've ever seen doing this is Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb could literally change direction within half of a yard because of how controlled his stride was. And there's some times where Love just doesn't control his stride as well as I want to. In it paired with the fact that he's so leggy, that it could again prevent it. So we're going to see this play here. Where they run it's called like a mid zone. So most likely, or he's gonna be reading Bain here, right? And Bain kind of widens out, and you have an interior gap here, which you obviously want to hit. And I'll play it through. You're gonna see him go down by an arm tackle, which also you want to see him obviously break arm tackles. Now it's Ruben Bain, credit to him, but there's a lot of Ruben Bains at the NFL level, so you do want to see him break arm tackles in general. But my problem here is it takes him a little bit to get vertical here, right? Like this gap is pretty wide open, and reading Bain right off the jump, you could see he's widening right off the snap. So at this point, you really want to start pushing vertical, but you're going to see as he gets the ball, how long the strides are from him, and then how long it takes him to change direction. Like he gets the ball at, I don't know how many yards exactly it is, but it takes quite a bit for him to push vertical, which then obviously closes ground to Bain. Bain gets the hand on and then brings him down. And again, I know it's nitpicky, but you want to see him be able to turn this up a little bit quicker, but some of the overstriding and the leg length prevents it at times. So you want to get a lot. I'm not going to say this tight to the guard, but you want to be another yard or 2 to the inside, avoid that tackle. And you're talking about potentially a house call, but because of the overstriding and the leg length, he's not able to make that play. So run himself into some tackles. Again, you can see how that huge hop right there, you want to see it a little bit tightened up with him. So that is it for Jeremiyah Love.
A couple comments I'm seeing. JD says it's a 9-yard play. Spencer Green says a negative is an 8-yard play. Draft this guy.
I legitimately don't know how to respond to that. Like, so because it's a positive, like, I don't know what to say to that. Like, because it's a positive play versus Miami, I can't criticize the stride length and how long it takes him to get to the inside and getting brought down by an arm tackle against Ruben Bain. Like, can we not be critical if it's a positive play? It's so black and white with people. It is what it is. It's at this point in the draft season too, where it's not even comments like that, but like in general, on Twitter, you have people who, and I'm not even saying this is green or whatever, because we're talking about a specific play, but it's like people watch 5 minutes of highlights and read Daniel Jeremiah's, top 50, and they act like they're experts and are willing to quite literally fight people in MetLife parking lot because of this. So like I'm going nuts at this point. This is the most annoying time of draft season. But yeah, like, sure, it's a positive play, but can we not be critical? Like, so if he's in the open field, if he had a 40-yard run, but he's one-on-one with a safety in the open field, it doesn't break the tackle or outrun him, can I be critical of that play because he didn't break the tackle of the safety? Like, you could be critical of a positive play. I legitimately do not understand that, but here we are.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. More importantly, hit the subscribe button if you are an Asmaniac and you haven't made it official yet. We're almost at 45,000, baby. We're at 44,926. Help us get to 45K. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Wayne Corbett sign helmet is the raffle prize for the daily raffle. And I also want to make sure that I tell people about the new set of weekly prizes. Joe Namath sign helmet. It's raffle 68 since we started the weekly raffle series. So you know we're doing a Joe Namath item in honor of the Super Bowl III champion 1968 Jets. Also a Darrelle Revis sign helmet. Braylon Allen signed jersey. Maybe he can start running like Jeremiyah Love this year and save the Jets the cost of the second pick in the draft. And an Anthony Becht signed jersey are the 4 items in the raffle. Shout out to Derek, the Kansas Jet fan, who has gifted a channel membership. I'm in the raffle for 2. He cuts the line with the super chat. He writes in, draft aside, I do not think the Jets have done enough to help Breece, Garrett, or Geno this offseason. Why the heck do we need Sadiq if we had no concrete development plan for Taylor? A couple things on this, Sam. The draft, you can't say draft aside. The draft's a big part of their plan to add playmakers. That's how they approached free agency. You saw guys in free agency get grossly overpaid. Alec Pierce making $29 million a year. So if they add, let's say, Mekhi Lemon at 16, you can't say draft aside. That's a big reason that's a big piece that's going to help Geno unlock the best Garrett and Breece not have to deal with 8-man boxes. So that's like saying, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Like if Sadiq comes in and is awesome, that helps the offense. So we can't say draft aside. It's all part of their plan. If you believe in Muji, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. And let's see what they do in the draft.
Yeah, I'm seeing some comments in here too. Like M. Villette says we call that simping in here. Joe Blewett, like some of the comments are hilarious. Like Spencer's not going to comment on the double ISO play, but the play we got 9. It's just like it is crazy. But they haven't done enough to help. Like draft aside, like the draft is a huge piece. You still
have 4 picks in the top 44.
Yeah, you still have, third, fourth, I don't know however you label it, 4th wave of free agency. Like at what point is it 2nd wave, 3rd wave, 4th wave? I don't know. After the draft, let's just call it 4th wave. Like
a trade too, right? Brian Thomas Jr. rumors, all that.
Yeah. So what happens if they draft Vega at 16, they bring in Brian Thomas and they draft Sadiq at 16? You're like, oh crap, the offense is good. Like we have half the offseason still left to go. They attack defense in free agency. I'm expecting them to attack the offense in the draft, obviously past number 2.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. All right, well, let's get to the Kenyon Sadiq film review now, because it's funny. The last couple of years, we've done the big debate. Should the Jets take a tight end or a tackle? Yeah. They've done the tackle each time. Here we are now, where the Jets could be in a spot where it's like the 4th wide receiver or Kenyon Sadiq, the first tight end off the board. Before we even play some of the clips, real quick in about 30 seconds, where does Sadiq rank compared to Warren, compared to Loveland, compared to Bowers, who you did detailed film breakdowns on the last couple of draft cycles?
Yeah, who I hated, but he was my 6th overall player in the class, and I have receipts. So yeah, I'll be honest. I think we weren't talking about Sadiq early on in the draft prospect and Cooper. I like Cooper more than Sadiq. Just personally, like right off the jump, I'm not touching Sadiq at 16. Me personally, it's pretty much pure hope at this point that he's going to be a good player because of the measurables and stuff. Not even measurables, like 240 is not heavy for a tight end. So it's pretty much, hey, this dude is fast. Hey, he's athletic. Hey, he has a good vertical. We're betting on upside. That's pretty much what it is. Where Loveland and Warren, all those guys, Bowers are much more well-rounded players. Sadiq is a pure projection type of swing. So me personally, I'm not taking him at 16. I'll be honest. I'll be furious if he was a pick at 16.
Wow. All right. Well, that's enough said. Let's get right to the film. Let's see why you feel that way.
Yeah. I only have like 3 negative plays on him, but we'll talk about it. It's just like people will say, oh, well, if a linebacker's on him, he could run routes good enough that he'll beat them. Nah, I don't know. I'm going to show some positive of the route running. Obviously, I have to show some positive, but I just didn't see the nuance with the route running. I think he had 1 catch over 20 yards. He had like 500-600 yards. So the production's not necessarily there. I don't think the nuance was there. He could block in space, but in line, you're not going to have him. You're not going to want him to block. And I think I just saw a article that was talking about tight ends, and I think tight ends in the NFL average blocking like 60% of the time. So he's going to be in line at times, and you don't want him in line at times. But then if you do split him out wide, I wanted to see more chops of him as a receiver to say, oh yeah, well, he can't be in line, but he could play receiver. You still have to be able to run routes really good as a receiver. I just didn't think the nuance was there with him. So at 16, I do not see it at all with the Jets. It's a pure swing on upside. You can't play him in line, but if you play him out wide as a receiver, he doesn't run routes really well. And I know I'm going to show some positives of the route running, but it's different when you're playing Oregon versus who is this first game against, or whoever this game is against, Penn State or I watched Penn State, Indiana, Minnesota, USC, Texas Tech, and Indiana. So it's different. He feels like more of like a second round pick who you're betting on upside, but 16 is, in my opinion, way too high for Sadiq.
Here we go, folks. Break it down. Where's Sadiq in the formation here?
Yeah, so he's inside slot right here, and this is actually he has. And again, like people are gonna be like, "Oh my!" Like you contradicted yourself. You're showing good routes. Like, yeah, he has the ability to run routes. It's snap by snap consistency, and I think that's largely missing with Jordan Tyson's evals. Is Jordan Tyson is very good highlight type of player. Snap by snap, the nuance isn't there, and he dances a lot in the routes. Like I could show you 10, 15 really good routes of Jordan Tyson, but I can also show you 10 or 15 really bad routes of Jordan Tyson. So, I can show positive plays, and I'm going to show them, obviously. Like we try to do the positive and the negative, but he's right here against linebacker, safety, whatever it is, and you're just going to see some of the athleticism. Now, I get it. Listen, he's rocked up, he's yoked, but like 240 is really small for a tight end. So he's pretty much going to be like a move receiver, power slot type of guy. But yeah, I get it. 4.36, really good vertical, etc. And we'll see some of that in the positives. I have 4 positives, 3 negatives, so it'll be a little bit quicker. But he's right here, inside slot. And he runs like a corner route here, and you just see some of the speed he has. Obviously, tracking the ball for a touchdown. Does a good job of getting the feet in bounds there. But like I said, I think he only had like 500-600 yards, so really not the most yardage. But this is a decent route, or a pretty solid route. He closes ground to looks like a linebacker with shortened strides. So you can see he's not full stride here. It's like more of like a half stride. Half stride. That's more a little bit more of a full stride. So full stride and then half stride. So he's just trying to not close too much ground on the linebacker. If you took another full stride there, he's more in range of the hands. So you don't want to do that. So stem towards him, hold him, break to the outside. He goes to chop down on that outside arm of the linebacker. Speed takes over, tracks the ball, touchdown. So again, is this the best linebacker in the world? I don't think so. Looks like Minnesota game, but still a good route versus what he was presented there. So you could see again some of the upside with the catch and some of the speed he has. But again, rep by rep, I just don't see the route running for him. This is a good one though. Again, there is potential there, but I'm not taking pure potential bet at 16. And if you come at me with Reese's pure potential at 2. I'm not making that argument. Like Reese, I think he's more developed than people think he is. But bottom slot right here, this is a touchdown, and this is a good push off from him against this safety. And it's a decent like a jab step, or if you want to call it like a pressure step right there from him, which we'll talk about a little bit in a second. But good job, right? With like the over route, stems to the inside breaking route. So initially takes off to the inside. Good job. DB, linebacker, safety, whatever he is starting to shuffle to the inside. So he jabs at him, stabs at him, or if you want to call it a pressure step like I do, he pressure steps to hold the DB or whatever he is. Hand comes out right here. Pushes off. You can see the push off right there, creates some separation, and then speed takes over again, and you're not really going to be able to run him down. So good touchdown on the over route with the hand usage, and then the pressure step there as well. Now this is just his ability in the seam, and just to be like a seam stretcher because he's a 4.36 speed. He's to the top slot right here, and you're going to see him push vertical in the seam. Obviously, uncontested for the most part. I don't know what the hell that safety is doing, but here we are. And this is just like pure. It's just like, okay, he's kind of fast here, and he could leap. But you're going to see from the other angle here, even though this is a positive play, I don't love how he catches this ball. And this is one where, Spencer Green or whatever is going to be like, oh, he caught the ball for a touchdown. Everything is positive. You could be negative on a positive play, right? So here, just in terms of being nitpicky, what you have to do, the problem with him here in terms of this catch is you see how wide his hands are. You see black glove. You don't want to clap the ball. when you clap the ball, it tends to, even if you do get your hands on the ball, you want to have your hands like more of a diamond, so you're catching the nose of the ball. So even just based on like, hey, it's a 50-mile-per-hour ball, if it does squirt through a little bit, you still have your hands in the middle of the ball. The problem is when you clap the ball, it tends to be late and you're catching like the midpoint of the ball and it tends to squirt through. So I don't love the hands here. Again, they're wide. He claps on it and it looks like he kind of like uses his helmet to secure the catch. Obviously, you want to attack the ball. You want to fully extend towards it, and you want to have your hands tighter. This is he's clapping on it. I don't love it, but you see some of the ability. Like, hey, he's fast in the seam. He makes a contested catch, but overall, you could be critical on a positive play. You could be positive on a negative play. Like there's nuance to, oh, this is a great play, everything is good, or this is a negative play, everything is bad. There's nuance, and there's nuance that needs to be had on that one. This is some of the athleticism he has. Last positive play, he's right here. They run just a screen to him. He stays in the block and then obviously works outside for the screen. And this is just some of his ability, just being the explosive leaper that he is. It's undoubtable. He has high potential, but again, there just wasn't enough technique aspect where I'm going to take him at 16, right? But gets the screen, obviously just identifies the blocker, takes it to the outside, sees 17 starting to kind of break down and duck his head a little bit there. Times it, we could see, what was his vertical, Jake? Like it's like a 40-inch vertical, 41, whatever the hell it was. But like,
I think he broke a record at the combine.
Dude, look how high he is right there. Like that is like he is absurdly high. Like that is absurd how high he could jump. But again, it's projection. It's like it's pretty pure projection with him. But that's ridiculous. The strength to maintain after. So let me see. Okay, negative. Him on the top right here. He's isolated, or he's not isolated because there's a running back there. So like technically he's not isolated, but
hey, real quick, would you like to respond to Spencer Green, who says bad hurdle there, huh? Blewett? ?
He's joking. I would say no. I think Spencer's a little bit of a troll. Like he's joking there. No, it's not. It's a good hurdle. Like I don't know. I said it was a good. Yeah, I think he's kidding. Okay, we'll get back to it. I want to have some battles with Spencer Green now. Is that what it is?
No, Spencer Green is your classic, keyboard warrior. He'll talk trash, and then he'll never actually show his face and call in. I think Spencer Green's actually been offered money by other listeners to show his face, and he won't. So it tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, no, it's just a thing where you have to be critical of these guys. So like, yeah, it was a 9-yard run, but maybe it should have been a 20-yard run. NFL, those gaps are going to shrink. So if you can't hit that gap against Miami, are you going to be able to hit that versus the Bills, the Pats, the Dolphins, whoever else? So it just is what it is. Like you have to look at it like that. I don't know. It's not so black and white. But I have 3 negatives here. I think this is some of the route running where I don't think is my screen up, Jake?
Yes, sir. Let it rip.
Okay. Yeah. So like some of his route running, there's just not necessarily a plan at all times. You're going to see it here where we'll talk about what a shock release is, but it kind of looks like he goes for like a quasi shock release, which is basically within 5 yards at the NFL level. You're basically just going to push this guy back, like quite literally shock him and then release into your route. And it kind of looks like that may be what his plan is here, but his hands land wide. He lets the DB, defender, whatever he is, lands his hand into his chest. So like his route running is not there snap by snap at all for me. So watch him run this route where he gets completely jammed up there. Again, this is versus Indiana. This is not NFL level players, even though that might be a good player. Transparently, I do not know who that player is to the top. But what is the plan here? For him, like his hands are down. So if he's going to go for a shock release, right? Like you want your hands on guard, which is basically like having your hands, you can like people will like they'll roll a tennis ball, like you can like flip a pancake, like some people do, like in practice, whatever it is, just to have your hands on guard, just like a boxer. So if you are planning for like a shock release, like I'm saying, you have to have your hands ready. His hands aren't ready here. He just runs into the defender, gets caught in the chest. And then pushes inside on the post. Now, like, hey, maybe it's a situation where he's, it's the wheel route's the primary read, so he's more so trying to kind of rub the defender. But I still want to see better hand placement for the route after. So I don't love the plan, regardless if the wheel was the primary here. Works it to the inside, and then obviously, he's covered. He trips at the end, but route by route, I don't see it. And then in terms of like inline blocking, he just doesn't have the strength in the base or the technique as a blocker in the box. So he's right here. And they're going to run like another zone, like a more tight zone. So it's going to be more of an interior gap type of run here. And you really want to cut off 33 here to the inside. And again, in line, it's not great. Now, open field, I think it's better because you don't need perfect technique. His athleticism takes over. But here on this play, he gets shed pretty badly. And why? Look at the hand placement for him here. So one, we don't want to bend it looks like he's bending from the waist, and really, again, getting into the nerdy stuff, when you bend from the waist, you deflect a lot of force. So the force isn't getting carried through the ground. It kind of deflects it at the hips, just a nerdy thing, but biomechanics. So you don't want to bend from the waist. So he's doing that. And then paired with that, look how wide his hands are. So you see the white gloves, white glove, white glove. Okay. So you're bending from the waist, you're ducking your head, your hands are light, your hands are wide, you're giving up that control of your chest. His hands are on his hips. There's no way with his body as bent from the waist as it is, with his hands as wide as they are, you're going to be able to control that block, get shed, 33 gets in on the tackle. So he just, based on technique and just pure strength, like he's strong for a receiver, but as a tight end, he just doesn't have the lower body strength for it. So this is another one, bad block. Again, this is another like interior zone. So you want to cut off 11 here. And this is the last play. But he's not urgent enough to cut off 11, and puts himself kind of in a bad spot here, and allowing 11 to make that tackle. So you want some more urgency, just in terms of like, hey, I'm on the backside here. What I really have to do is ideally what I call get positional leverage, which is just for him here getting to the inside. You cannot let 11 get to the inside of him, and he shuffles to the inside. But what you ideally want to do here is start to kind of flip your hips into this gap, square him up. I'm okay with this left hand being on the shoulder. You want left hand shoulder, right hand into like into the V of the neck, and you're kind of just going to torque him, like use your core strength to push him outside, but doesn't cover the ground he needs to with his hips. I can't tell where the right hand is. It may be inside, but because his base isn't in front of the block, he's not able to maintain it, gets shed, or doesn't get shed, but he allows the tackle there. So don't see the nuance as a route runner. I don't see the inline blocking. So it's pure projection for me at this point with him. Me personally, I'm not touching him at 16. I'll be very, very disappointed. I'll be honest. Your audio.
My bad. What is the earliest you would take him if he's there at 33? Would you go with him there?
Yeah, like 33, I think I'll be much more open to it. But like I would still have to watch, Pregnon and is it Basantis or whatever, like the Texas A&M guy, or does CJ Allen fall? Like I like CJ Allen more than him. Let's see where he's at. Let me just pull up my my big board. But like right now for the Jets, he's my 16th player. So I have like Cooper above him, Allen, I have Woods, I have Tyson. I can make an argument for Mesidor over him. It's just Mesidor is 25 and injured. Falk, I might take over him. So I think he's more like in that McDonald Boston range. So yeah, 33. I think he's an option there. Like I wouldn't be so mad at it. At 16, I am not taking that bet on a guy who, he's jacked, and he can jump high, he can run fast, but there's a lot more to football than being able to jump high and run fast. Like look at who's Odell Beckham's like cousin who he brought in a few years ago. It's like stupidly athletic. It's like 10 years ago. I was like, do you remember what his name was? Is it Dorial Green Beckham? Is that his name?
I don't remember. I thought you were going to bring up, remember the tight end the Jets used like a 7th round pick on that was like a freak?
Zach
athlete?
Kuntz.
Oh yeah, Kuntz. Yeah,
like a 10 RAS. There's a lot more to football. And he's like Sadiq is obviously more actually athletic than Kuntz was, because Kuntz was just a combine warrior. You watch him play, he looked like he was running like a baby deer. Like he was not the most athletic guy.
Dude, do you remember? This actually makes your point perfectly. He scored a touchdown in a preseason game, and it was the summer that the Jets were on Hard Knocks, and Rodgers was mic'd up saying he ran the wrong route. So it's a perfect example of like, hey, like a positive result, but like not like actually a positive thing. Like he didn't do what he was supposed to do. It just happened to work out. Rodgers noticed it and called it out. Or in Hard Knocks in that game, he actually scored a touchdown.
Yeah, no, again, there's a lot more to football. Like Dorial Green Beckham was a stupid athlete, but there's a lot more to football. And if I stole more from the blocking and the more from the route running, I'll be fine. And in space, the blocking is better, but in line, like he's undoubtedly going to have to play in line at sometimes. And I just don't think it translates. It didn't it wasn't good at the collegiate level. NFL, I think he's gonna get dominated in line. So he's just too small, and the routes aren't good enough for me to take that bet. I rather go a lot more directions at 16, and something that people are not going to hear me to hear me say, and I haven't even done studies on these guys, but like I rather take like a McCoy or a Delane over him at 16, because realistically, Wright's on a 1-year deal, Stevens is on a 1-year deal. You don't know who your corners are going forward. You're not necessarily drafting for this year. I'm not reaching for Sadiq because of what he could be over a player who's a lot better, just not necessarily a position of need like this year. So I think people have to open themselves up to Delane or McCoy, even though I'm personally not hoping it happens. I gun to my head right now, not watching Delane. Give me Delane over Sadiq at 16.
Wow. All right. Couple quick super chats, and then we're going to hear from PBM and King Lowski, because it's a close one right now in Asmaniac Madness. 53-47, purple belt Mike leading the King. Wants to know, have you looked into Jadarian Price, who is the backup running back to Jeremiyah Love?
Yeah, I didn't look into him, like do a full study. I could tell you I obviously saw him while I was watching Love, and he is really good. Like I really, really like Price as well. So yeah, he's a stud. I'm not sure where he's projected, maybe like 2nd or 3rd round. And maybe that's too early for the Jets, right? Because they have 4 running backs who are going to like pretty much guaranteed to be on the roster right now, right? With Nguanu as your running back 4. So do you fit another running back in? Like I personally like to take a swing on a running back every year, but are you going to carry 5 running backs this year, right? Like I don't think Davis is getting cut. Allen's probably not getting cut. I don't think Nguanu is getting cut. So he should be an option though, or at least for other teams. But yeah, he's really good from what I saw.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, PBM gifted another 5 memberships, entering himself in the raffle and maybe trying to buy some votes perhaps. King Lowski and Purple Belt Mike head to head in the battle. PBM is the lower seed because he's the 3 seed, but he's the high. I don't know what the actual term is, but both are on hold. We will hear from both. Ladies and gentlemen, first things first, we check in with the man himself, PBM in the leadoff spot.
Purple Belt Mike, he loves the dark night. He's got a green pool and he jumps right in. Maybe someday he'll get a brown belt, but for now he's just that Purple Belt Mike. Purple Belt Mike, it might be purple, but he can still kick your dirty ass.
Oh, fuck. Yo, what a good battle we have here going.
Oh,
looking good here.
This is what you dream of. A close battle, back and forth. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So vote for me, guys, and if you don't, that's all right. I like King Lowski, good dude. So it's not gonna be a Gary versus BG episode here. I like Lowski, so whatever you guys choose, I'm fine with that. May the best man win.
Now, how many fake accounts have your fan base created to vote you to get the victory?
I don't know of any. Are you able to see if like more people subscribe to your channel? Because that would be a way you can tell if like fake accounts are voting. Are you able to see like what you got in like the last like hour or something?
I mean, I could refresh, but I haven't gained any new ones, so it's not that.
So then people aren't doing that then, at least for this one. So that's good. So people are just voting. Honestly.
Well, people could have the account already and have subscribed. Like it's like there's no exact way to determine that.
Yeah, people had it beforehand. Yeah, but whatever. I think if you have to do that, then like, I mean, it's just for fun, guys.
Did your wife vote for you? Did she have a YouTube account already?
She has a YouTube account. I hope she would vote for me.
Is she subscribed to the channel? Can she vote?
Well, she was able to comment the other day, right? So
yes.
Maybe she is subscribed.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so she's subscribed.
Well, I'll tell you what, you might need her if this gets tight late. You got to pull out all the stops. Last year we saw Gary pull out the hot nanny. Bonesy brought his wife vacuuming to poke fun of Gary. Like you might have to pull out the PBW appearance if this is tight late.
She may or may not be choking me out later. We'll see.
Whoa!
Purple Belt wife, she's the dark knight. She has a lazy husband who forgets to clean potatoes. Maybe someday she'll get some help, but for now she's just a Purple Belt wife. Purple Belt wife, she might not be purple, but she can kick her husband's ass.
I mean, hey now. A good thing Joe Blewett's a police officer.
That's a calm your freaky down drop if I've ever heard one.
Calm your freaky down.
There you go. Hey, even if he loses, he's a winner at the end of the day.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear from the man facing Purple Belt Mike in the matchup. It's our king.
He's the king. His OG loves the Jets. He's the king.
Jake, my brother. Jake, my brother. It's always good to see you, my brother. Joe Blewett, my brother. Joe Blewett, my brother. Hey, when I put your foot up Frankie V ass, you hear me? You keep giving Frankie V that foot. You feel me? Way to debate his ass. Cause Tanky V is a bunch of fraud bullshit. You hear me? Way to do it, Joe Blewett. I love the way you break down film, son. And I like how you break down these players because we need some of this, some of this education to really get the gist of what we getting in this draft, baby. You know what I'm saying? Let me just say this, baby. Shout out Purple Belt Mike. That's my brother, man. I love him. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to his wife and all his family. You feel me? Shout out to the Asmaniacs. Y'all know I love y'all, baby. You know this competition, it just brings us together during the off season, give us something to do. But, it's all about the Jets at the end of the day, baby. We want to see this team win. We want to see this team succeed. And we just want to do it the right way, baby. We want the players that's going to work hard and do it for us on the field, baby. Help us win games out here, you heard? So, you know what I'm saying, man? Shout out to the Asmaniacs, baby. I got to go to work. But I'm going to be watching, Jake. Shout out to the Asmaniacs. Shout out Purple Belt Mike. And shout out Joe Blewett for putting his foot up Tanky V ass. Okay, baby? JTS! JTS!
Asmaniac Madness is underway. Make sure you vote to make your voice heard.
This is a real tough one because King Lowski's an all-time great.
I understand the seating now.
Look, PBM is outstanding. The thing with Lowski is I think the Jet season really depressed him. He talked about it previously. He didn't have his normal call volume you'd get over the course of the year, and that's a lot of this fan base, Joe. That's why the Jets need to figure it out because we're losing the diehards even. The passion is not what it once was. Now, Lowski's going to find these King Lowski, but I've heard from so many listeners of mine who just not into the Jets right now, and it's tough. That's how bad they've been.
Yeah, the people who are here right now are the absolute diehards because, this is the longest I think this is the earliest we've ever looked into the draft because, we knew we needed a quarterback, so it started off with Simpson, Mendoza, and we kept sucking and sucking and sucking. And it's okay, well, now we're 3-4 rounds deep. So we started doing film reviews of these quarterback prospects in October, probably. This is the longest we've ever waited. So if you're watching now, my God, you are a diehard.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to get to more calls, but you are a staunch Arvell Reese guy. You had the big debate that you heard Lowski just reference there.
Never again. Please never again, Jake.
Last week you and Tanky got into it. I want to play you Daniel Jeremiyah and Peter Schrager talking about Reese and Bailey. They both have heard from their sources the Jets right now are leaning towards Bailey. So I'm going to play the clip, and then I want you to respond directly here because you obviously have studied both these guys, as everyone's aware. So you give us your thoughts after you listen to Peter Schrager and Daniel Jeremiyah talking about the Jets' number 2 overall selection.
And at number 2, the New York Jets. You're on the clock.
So I've gone back and forth on this a couple times. So on the first, I think I've done 3 mock drafts. The first 2 I had him taking Bailey. Then I flipped to Reese and thought, okay, well, everything with the Jets having all those picks in 27, it doesn't feel like it's a crunch that they're trying to make the playoffs here in 26. It's pushing towards 27. And then he's more of the 27 pick. He's not as further along. Bailey's a much more polished pass rusher. He's the more known commodity. Whereas with Reese, you're playing the upside game and hoping what you're going to get. It reminds me so much. And we were together, I believe, on this draft, which was the Hutchinson-Trayvon Walker debate.
Yeah, what a debate.
Because it was Hutch is the better pass rusher right now, and you had Trayvon Walker, who's this physical freak, who's not there yet, but you're hoping he's going to get there. Now, both of them have been really good pros. Hutch has been an elite player when he's been out there and been healthy. It feels like that in that scenario, the better athlete, even though Hutch is a really good athlete, went ahead of the more polished player. And that's why I was kind of leaning in that direction. But we were talking full disclosure before we launched here today. We're kind of hearing the same thing. that as we're coming down the home stretch here, this feels more like Bailey bird in the hand pick versus the upside pick with Reese.
Bird in the hand. And that's like, we don't know what these guys are going to become, but you see it on the tape, and there's substantial empirical evidence that David Bailey might be the more pro ready now. Is that what we would say?
More polished. He just has a game plan as a rusher. He's been doing it forever, playing off the edge. He's very comfortable with it. And and much like with Hutchinson, I don't feel like you're like sacrificing all this athleticism. This guy ran 4.5 flat. Like, he's got big time juice. He's super strong, super explosive. He's just not quite as loose of an athlete and as dynamic of an athlete as Reese. But he's a better pass rusher. I don't think that's in dispute.
Joe, what do you make of those comments there?
Like I said, I hope to never debate this again. I'm getting so sick of it. And like, I knew it was going to come up. Veteran Jets fan says Reese is the same projection that Joe Blewett is against, which I literally just said is not the same situation, because Reese showed a lot. Like, it's short-sighted to say that, oh, he's so much better right now. Like, yeah, as a pass rusher, but how much better does Bailey have to be as a pass rusher to cancel out the versatility of Reese in the run game, as a stand-up linebacker, in coverage, as a spy? So he better be a much, much better pass rusher right off the jump to cancel out all that stuff. And again, like, Reese has had 83 true edge rush snaps, and he created over 20% pressure rate. So when he was doing it, he was good. And then you see him, like, one drill, which everybody criticized, he didn't look great in, which is not the same drill as Bain did. He took a week or two of coaching. And did you see the drill last week, Jake, where he trained with that D end or whatever from the Cowboys? And it's like, wow, he looks a lot better after a week of practice. Like, holy shit. So to me, it's a little bit short-sighted. It's like, oh, he's such a better prospect now, and Reese is just pure projection. As a rusher, yeah, it's a little bit more projection. But what about everything else? Like, the game is not just rushing the passer. Again, with that study with the tight ends, they're running the ball more now than they have like the last decade. So the league is starting to transition back more so into running the ball. So if you don't stop the run, you're not going to be able to rush the passer. And if you do have, again, Bailey and McDonald in the game at the same time, you're going to get ran all over. So do you trade McDonald? Are you giving up on him to then draft Bailey? Like, I'd rather have Reese and McDonald than trading McDonald than having Bailey. So it's just like, I think it's a little bit short-sighted. And realistically, I'm not trying to be whatever here, but I think DJ, at least this year, has kind of fallen off a little bit in the draft community. A lot of people are kind of questioning him. And Peter Schrager also mocked the Jets taking Tyler Warren last year, and he's pretty set in that, and that didn't happen either. So I don't really care. This could be a thing where agents are putting it out and the Jets are trading down. And I know Yo Holmes isn't the biggest fan of me, so I see him talking shit all the time, but one of the times I agree with him. Can we just trade down, avoid both these guys, so we can just not have this discussion for the next 6 years?
Can we
and just
trade down and take Styles?
Yeah, can we just take Styles, Bain, or Tate and trade down, get an extra first next year, and just stop with all this shit? Like, it is getting so old. The stuff on Twitter, the chats, I am so done with the Reese versus Bailey. But again, Reese is in terms of right now, Bailey, yes, better pass rusher. In terms of overall player, if you want to give Bailey the upside or the notch over him, fine. But it's like, it's slim margins when you consider the entire game. We have to consider more than just, oh, he could rush the passer. And like I talked about specifically with Bailey last week, my main concerns with him as a pass rusher at the NFL level are when the hands don't shoot fast, having to beat guys with power, can't do it yet. And then his lateral athleticism is not great. So when typically you're a speed rusher and you can get a guy to overset, you then cross his face with that lateral athleticism, but he doesn't have that, and he doesn't have great bend. So he better win really cleanly with technique and speed, because if he doesn't have the ability to bend. He doesn't have the ability to counter with inside, like with the twitch laterally. So I don't think the upside is as high as some people do as a pass rusher. And to say that a guy who's rushing in the Big 12 is automatically going to come in and get you 10 plus sacks a year is horseshit. You cannot guarantee that at all.
Peter Castro checking in with a super chat. Joe, where are you taking Ty Simpson?
Yeah, so I think he ends up being taken by either like the Browns at, is it 23-ish? Or I think it's a situation where maybe the Cardinals trade up over the Jets. That's probably where I think he ends up going.
26, I think, is that second Cleveland pick. I think he falls
26.
out of the first round. I think the Jets are faced with a decision. Day 2, do you take him at 33?
I'm signing up for him at 33. I am personally. Obviously, I'm a little bit higher on him, and we've been talking about it since October. So it's been 6 months of talking about Ty Simpson. So if you don't know my opinions now, it's not even worth it to say it again. I personally think he's taken in the first round just because of that 5th-year option. So if you could swing like a 4th-round pick or whatever, 3rd-round pick, whatever the Cardinals would have to do to get that 5th-year option, I think it happens because Again, I just think his upside's a little bit more high than people think it is. Like average arm, average athleticism. I don't see that. I think he's a plus athlete. But again, size, lack of starts. Completely understand why people don't like him.
Also, DJ lost his fastball. I didn't know the draft community was down on Daniel Jeremiyah. What happened?
Some of those scouting reports are a little bit they're a little bit lacking this year. I had a lot of respect for him a few years ago, but the last year or two, I think he's maybe spreading himself too thin, and he's just not as in tune with the film like he used to be. To be honest, so I see a lot of people. Yeah, I see a lot of people kind of criticizing him this year. I don't know if other like draft nuts or whatever, the film guys like agree with me. But I've seen quite a few people be like, he might have lost his fastball a little bit. So, I couldn't really care less what he says about the number 2 overall. Can we just fast forward? What is it? 16 days? Like, can we just get there? Like, enough of this projection bullshit. Can we just see what happens?
Come to Pittsburgh, Joe. All right, drinks on me.
Yeah, hey, listen, I will. I'll give you my wife's number. You can convince her to let me go. I'm there. Go ahead. Good luck.
Sam with a super chat. Loving the Sadiq review. Brings so much joy to my heart. Sam, appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of the draft party, the architect behind all of it, the guy who's making it happen for the Asmaniac community, he's on the line. And Joe, I want to warn you, he's had an erection that has lasted for way more than 4 hours because we did an entire film review on Jeremiyah Love, and he knew it was coming today. Ladies and gentlemen, Lou B joins us now. Hello, Lou.
Thank you, Joe, for doing the breakdown. I really appreciate that. And,
what's up, Lou?
I love your work. But the one thing, I was waiting for you to play the Penn State game. Jeremiyah Love versus Penn State. Do you have that one?
Yeah, I think let me see. Did I say I watched really that one before?
This was my one chance for the Asmaniacs to see this run.
Oh. Yeah, I watched Miami, Texas A&M, USC, right, Boston College, and Pitt. So I actually didn't watch Penn State.
So it is the run of him destroying 11 guys, and one of those 11 guys was the Giants' first pick named Abdul Carter in last year's draft. You also watched him just run through Ruben Bain, another big guy for this year's draft. My question to you is this: who do you think we would win more with, Breece or Jeremiyah Love on the team of the Jets next year, knowing the team that we're putting together?
Yeah, but then the problem is it's not only Breece versus Love, it's also Breece versus Love, but it's Breece with Tate or Breece with Reese as well. Like, it's not just 1-for-1 necessarily. It's also who else can you get?
Well, you just showed us that Love is also a great receiver as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no doubt. But again, like if you're drafting him, and Jake, maybe you know the numbers on this, but if you're drafting him at 2, you're talking about like he's a top 5 paid running back right off the jump. Yep. So then you have to figure out, okay, trading Breece, and he better be elite right off the jump. And again, like if we were the Chiefs and it came from a year where like Mahomes was injured and we were one piece away from the Super Bowl, fine, but the Jets are farther away. So I just rather add more to the roster. I like him, and I think he has a ceiling to be the best running back in the NFL.
That's a big statement. That's a huge statement, though. That's a huge statement because there's some incredible running backs. So we're going to have to pay Breece. So if we didn't have Breece, if we did trade Breece and get another pick and use that pick to get another defensive player or for some draft capital, so we are going to pay Breece. So the money could even out over the course of a few years. But I understand the positional value. But my question is, if we take David Bailey at 2, and not Arvell, we take Bailey at 2, do you think the Jets in 16, 17 games, whatever it is better with Bailey than it is with Jeremiyah Love? Saying that Breece is off the team. Do you? You take Bailey right now at 2 because we're talking. I mean, Daniel Jeremiyah just said we're taking Bailey. I mean, it's kind of reputable, right? We may not.
Yeah. And I'm with you. Like if you talk about 1-for-1 impact on the team, it might be Love over Bailey, but then you also have to consider like something in the future, like in terms of contract, right? Like Saquon Barkley is a top 3 running back in the NFL, getting paid $20 million, where $20 million for an edge rusher is like a mid type of guy. So Bailey's probably, in terms of like bang for your buck, it's obviously the positional value is the biggest, big point of it as well.
We have a GM that has seemed to figure it all out. I don't think the money is going to be like, oh my God, we're going to lose because, they had to pay this guy a little bit more or less. We have a really smart GM. He's proven in every single trade that he's done. I mean, and also we have a very unpredictable team right now. We never thought he was going to trade Sauce. We never thought he was going to do this. We never see none of these, any rumors that are out there. I just don't believe anything because it's sort of like he's doing his thing, Muji. He's incredible. What I'm saying is if we pick, would you right now know that forget about what number you picked him at. Would you rather Bailey be on that team or Love be on that team? If you had to pick one, if Breece wasn't on the team, let's just say.
if Breece wasn't on the team. So like right now from the Jets, I have Bailey at
Just
7
say
overall.
it, Joe. Just say it.
I have Love. I might take Love over Bailey, honestly, if Breece wasn't here, but Breece is here, obviously, right?
Not
and
signed.
then part
They
of that
didn't
is
sign him yet. They could have signed if they wanted to.
Let me just ask a follow-up question. Like you're talking about the impact of Breece versus Love, right? And like, let's say I don't know where you rank Breece. Let's just say he's the 10th best running back in the league. Let's even say Love is the best running back in the league when he comes in, which, I have some questions, right? You saw the film. So if you go from 10 to 1, is that a bigger impact than going from Isaiah Williams to Cornell Tate? Like, is that a bigger impact, and then in terms of contracts and stuff as well. So I just think bang for your buck, you want a different player at that point. If the Jets were farther on in their kind of team cycle and they were closer, I would understand it, but they have Breece, right? So it's not like they don't have him. And I don't just see them being able to get rid of him for like capital that you want, right? Because he's $14 million a year, whatever it's going to be. What is somebody going to trade for him? A 5th, a 6th round pick?
For Breece, they should get a 3rd, but
no.
That's what they want. I mean, that's what he's going to go for. But let me just
they're
say,
not going to get it though. He's going into his walk year and he plays a non-premium position. You're not going to get a 3rd round pick.
I think they're going to make a move during the draft. That's just my opinion. But the one thing I want to say is I'm a fan. Jake knows I am a real fan. I go to the games. Jeremiyah Love, I feel, brings back that excitement in MetLife and Jet Life. And I think that
winning does that, Lou. Winning games.
And I believe Jeremiyah Love will do that for us, Jake. I really do.
More than Breece?
Yes.
What were the Raiders with Genty last year?
Terrible. But what are they going to be now that they have Tyler Lindenbaum and 2 really good quarterbacks and they're working on that line? Then Genty's going to look a lot different. Genty's an incredible player. They did take
But that's kind of the whole point of not taking Love at 2 when you're not a complete team yet.
Yeah, he averaged like 3.5 yards per carry last year, right?
Yeah, but he's going to be better this year. We could talk about that at the end of the year because he's going to be better.
But he might not be better enough to justify the 7th overall selection. If Arvell Reese is a superstar, which Joe believes he can be, and the Jets would be believing he can be if you're going to take him that high.
I love Arvell Reese too, and it's really hard for me. But what I think they're going to do is, first of all, they didn't meet Love 3 times for no reason, not just a smokescreen. They could very easily leak some news, say they like Love. They like Love. And they may be meeting with Love because they know Breece's stance. That's what I just want everyone to understand. They may know Breece does not want to be there. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just wants to get paid. I don't know. But they may say
But he's on the tag, though, Lou. You have to understand. Maybe he doesn't want to sign a long-term extension, or he feels the Jets' number is not good enough. But he's going to play on the tag this year, and he's going to be highly incentivized to have a big year because he's not going to get paid by anyone if he doesn't.
Jake, they may not approve with his locker room stuff, with the posting and stuff like that. It is a real big negative of him.
But Glenn loves him. Muji, like everything is positive coming from them when asked about Breece. Like, go listen to Glenn's answer about Breece at the league meetings last week.
They've been saying the right thing, Jake, but Breece hasn't.
They're doing due diligence, Lou. I'm sure they like Jeremiyah Love, but I don't think they like him for 2. They like him. Hey, maybe he falls to them. Hey, maybe they trade out of 2 and he's in play then. Like you're doing due diligence. Like, did anyone think Laramie Tunsil was going to fall to the Dolphins the year that he had the gas mask situation? Like, crazy things happen with the draft.
Well, look, I really appreciate the breakdown because it's been hard for me to tell anybody on the Asmaniac world to like Love. So it's been great. You doing this for everybody. I appreciate that.
Lou, you're the man. Good call. Keep it rolling here. I'm going to the Yankee game tonight. I'm going to freeze my tuchus off, so I got time for a couple more calls. I wanted you to get the Neil experience, though, Joe, because I got Neil blowing up my phone last night, telling me how dumb I am for not wanting Jeremiyah Love. So here we go.
Get ready for Neil. He will make 13 points about the New York Jets and maybe hump a Patriots jersey. Get ready for Neil. He's probably smoking a big fat cigar and burning his house to the ground. That's Neil.
Hello, Jake. Mr. Blewett, how are you?
What's going on?
First off, to take off yesterday, Jake, you cut me off after you mentioned your Genty point, but you're not realizing the fact that he had no offensive line. And really, for a running back to really show his how good he could be, you really have to have a good offensive line. And I think we have a good enough offensive line to show Jeremiah's Love's abilities as a running back. Now, when I watch more football than any of you guys in my lifetime. I mean, that's not even arguable. And I think of this guy, and I did look at some tape on a lot of players, okay? I get insulted that I mess up on people's names like Chef Kevin mentioned with his bozo costume on. But the reality is I watch more football than you guys, and I'm going to tell you, I recognize talent. And this
Neil,
kid, Jeremiah Love, what's that? Debatable. I watch more football?
You watch more football than I do?
In my lifetime, yes.
Yeah, okay. But like,
all right, I'm 56. How old are you, Blue? How old are you? How old are you?
Are you smarter than Sean McVay? Because you're older?
I don't care. I'm not talking about who's smarter, okay? Because the reality is, guys that pick drafts, it's just a lottery ticket. That doesn't mean they're going to be successful or not successful. Every year, these guys come out and say, this guy's going to be great, and he stinks. So I don't really go by that. What I say is this. When I look at this guy, Jeremiah Love, I think of Reggie Bush. Okay, is that a good comparable?
Yeah, and in fairness to you, Neil, I think you make a good point about the offensive line to Jake. 100%.
Yes, that's one thing. I know Jake told me Genty stunk. Hey, look, like Lou said, he's going to be better this year. When you have an offensive line, here's what I want, guys. When I go to the games, okay, I want a guy that's an impact player. Okay, let me ask you this, Joe. Who's a bigger player for Detroit? Amon St. Brown or Jahmyr Gibbs? Who's a more valuable player on Detroit?
St. Brown is.
No, he isn't.
Yes, he is.
No, Jahmyr Gibbs had 40. Wait. 40 touchdowns in 3 years for Jahmyr Gibbs.
It's not just about touchdowns. Yesterday, you tried to make the point that Breece is more impactful than Garrett Wilson.
No, I'm not. I did not make that point. But here's what I'm going to tell you. You're not. Wait a minute. Can I say something? What I am telling you is not only is this guy a good running back, but he also has a value as a receiver. Okay? You look at Bijan Robinson. Let's use him as an example. Another guy I think is very similar to Jeremiah Love. This guy had 1,400 rushing yards last year and 820 receiving yards. If we had a running back with those numbers, every guy in the stadium would have his jersey on, and we'd all be going Love, 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 instead of Jets, 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 Jets. That's it. I want a guy like that. I want an impact player. I don't want some guy that is going to get 8 sacks.
He's an impact player. He's an impact player at a premium position. You already have Breece on the team.
Breece, I'm assuming, is not going to be on the team,
He
Jake.
is going to be on the team, Neil. There's no evidence to suggest he will not be on this team. He's either going to play on the tag or they're going to work out an extension, which if you listen to Glenn and Muji last week, they both said that they believe they could get a deal done after the draft with Breece.
Then let me ask you this. If they're so sure they're not going to do anything with Breece, why would they meet with this guy 3 different times? Just because they think he's going to fall? He's not falling anywhere below the Giants, I'll tell you right now.
Why'd they meet with Fernando Mendoza at the Combine?
What's that?
Why'd they meet with Mendoza?
Jake, when I listen to these draft guys, Joe.
I make a totally legitimate point, and you ignore it.
All right.
It's due diligence. That's why they met with him.
But okay. But they just had 3 times? They didn't meet with Fernando Mendoza 3 times.
What do you mean they went to his pro day and they had breakfast with him? All right. They also are bringing in plenty of prospects that they're not going to end up drafting. Those are called top 30 visits. This is the job of an NFL franchise. You have scouts, you have front office people. This is their livelihood. They have to explore every scenario. That's what happens.
All right. Let me just leave it at this. When you want to get a player that is going to change a franchise, okay? Every guy has said the same thing, and Joe, you'll say the same thing. There's only 3 players in this draft that are superb, top of the line. Everybody says is a top 3 guy in the draft. Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs, right? Blewett?
Yeah. I want to ask a follow-up question, too, before you go, but continue.
Those are 2 guys that are not at premium positions, but they are the best guys in the draft all the way around. And I would rather have a guy like a Jamal Gibbs, like a McCaffrey, like a Bijan Robinson. These are guys that could really make an impact on the team and how many touchdowns they score in a
Bijan
year.
Robinson. What have the Falcons won with Bijan? He's never made the playoffs.
Jake, the guy.
Did you watch Saquon with the Giants, Neil?
Yeah, because he had no offensive line, Jake.
And they did not have.
What did he do with the Eagles? He won him a Super Bowl.
You think the Jets have the Eagles' offensive line?
Jake, who won the MVP in the Super Bowl last year? Sam Darnold? Who won the Super Bowl MVP? Walker won the MVP.
Neil,
he was the guy that made them win that Super Bowl, Jake.
Neil, I'm losing patience. How did they
get
who's
more valuable, Walker or Darnold?
Darnold is more valuable. He threw for 400 yards in the NFC Championship game and beat the best team in the league, the Rams.
Who got the MVP in the Super Bowl?
Great. That's one game, Neil. Who had the better season? Who was great when it mattered in a
when
game?
Did a defensive edge or an edge rusher win an MVP or win a team a Super Bowl? Reggie White, maybe, but there's no Reggie White in this fucking draft.
Oh my God, Neil, your point doesn't make any sense. You're comparing a running back to it. It's like these aren't even.
I want a player that's going to make an impact, Jake, and that is not going to be Arvell, Reese, or Bailey.
They all can make an impact. All of them. Name me the team that was led by a running back, their best player that won a Super Bowl.
I just told you, Walker won that Super Bowl. The guy was fantastic in the playoffs.
He had a very good
game. The guy
was
fantastic, Jake.
Goodbye.
These goddamn exploding cigars. I gotta go, Jake. I'll call back later. Shit.
I cannot. Let's pull up the NFC Championship box score for the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams. And let's hold on. I knocked Joe off the air, not Neil. Neil, I cannot listen to you just spout total nonsense on this. Kenneth Walker had a phenomenal Super Bowl. The game was a low-scoring battle. Sam did not have to do a lot. Go back to the NFC Championship game. How many yards and touchdowns did Sam Darnold throw when he went head-to-head with the MVP of the league, Matthew Stafford? All right, it is a quarterback sport. Stop telling me about running backs. You're wrong. And by the way, before I pull up the box score of the NFC title game, here's my text with Neil last night. He's sending me 80,000 texts. Who's been more productive for the Jets, Breece or Garrett? I go, Garrett has been. And then I won't even get to all the Ty Simpson nonsense that he was sending me. And he goes, wrong. Breece has won a lot of games for us. In what world has Breece Hall been a better Jet than Garrett Wilson? It's not even comparable.
That was my favorite 5 minutes of your show, Jake, because usually I'm on the spotlight breaking down film, arguments against Frankie V, taking questions. Seeing you have to argue with somebody is great. And you put me on the screen with him. I was like, damn it, because I was going to say, Jake, you argue this one. But my point is, one thing, can we stop saying that because you're older, you know more football than somebody? So like just based on age, he should be the head coach of the Rams and not Sean McVay. You know what I'm saying? Like that's such a bullshit argument. But past that, is it the value of running back 10 versus running back 1 versus let's go to receiver because that's more easily digestible. Isaiah Williams is probably the 400th best receiver in the NFL. Even if you're low on Tate and say receiver 64, going from receiver 500 to receiver 64, is that a bigger impact than running back 10 to running back 1? And that's not even considering the contract type stuff.
Hey, Neil, who was more valuable in the NFC title game, which was essentially the Super Bowl, because everyone knew New England was not nearly as good as what their record was? Sam Darnold, who threw for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns, or Kenneth Walker, who had 19 carries for 62 yards and a touchdown in that game? Again, because Kenneth Walker had an awesome Super Bowl, which he did, that does not mean that means the Jets now need to draft a running back 2nd overall. And then when you bring up Saquon, he goes, oh, look what he did with the Eagles. Do the Jets have the Eagles offensive line? Are the Jets are the Jets?
The Lions.
And by the way, how did the Eagles get Saquon? They signed him in free agency when their team was already complete. They already had a completed defense. They already had a completed offense, and Saquon was the missing piece. The Jets are nowhere near ready to add a player like a running back 2nd overall when they have so many needs.
Yeah, it's one of the least valuable positions in the sport. Maybe like safety, whatever else it is. But the problem is it's very dependent on your offensive line. So you better be an absolute stud to really make that impact. But like, would Gibbs be what he is without the Lions offensive line? Would Barkley be what he is without the Eagles offensive line? Would McCaffrey be what he is without the scheming and the offensive line of the Niners? So like I said, and not even the contract stuff. Running back 10 to running back 1, or Tate, you're going from receiver 500 to receiver 64. Like there's a bigger impact to be had.
Unbelievable. Joe, I will let you run because I got to wrap up the show. I'm not doing a full length show today because I'm off to the Bronx shortly here. So appreciate you hopping on.
Again, that was my favorite 5 minutes ever. You having to be on the spotlight and not me. That was very enjoyable.
I appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Blewett, Jet X Factor. Neil says the idea is to trade Breece, and that is, again, what are you getting for Breece, Neil? Trade Breece. For what? 5th round pick? Taking Jeremiyah Love 2nd overall does not make any sense from a team building standpoint with where the Jets are at. You could trade down and get picks, then I'm open to it. And that's maybe why the Jets are doing their due diligence on the guy. He's a running back. Look at the teams that have invested in running backs in the top 10. Have any of them won recently? Like Bijan Robinson's awesome. What have the Atlanta Falcons won at this point? Ashton Genty was picked. The Raiders could do it over. You know what they would have done? They would have taken an offensive lineman there. Thunderlips writes in, Neil, you're cool. You have dementia or ALS. You're batshit crazy and your jet takes blow more than my... I'm not going to read that. I'd still hang with you, but wow. Thunderlips, you're in the raffle for 2. All right. My head's going to explode. I can't take it anymore. I can't take any more of this. I'm going to end voting in Asmaniac Madness, and then I'm done. I am done. This draft needs to happen. I'm tired of screaming about a running back at 2, which is not going to happen and would be batshit crazy if that's the plan for the New York Jets. But I digress. Voting is about to close, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a tight one. 52-48. PBM advancing to the next round. Congratulations to Purple Belt Mike. He's on his way to the Sweet 16. 383 total votes were cast. So PBM, congrats. He's moving on. And that does it for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow. Omari Brown in the morning. And then in the afternoon, get set for quite the surprise. I'll leave it at that. Until then, though, I'll talk to you guys soon. JETS, Jets. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thanks again to Joe Blewett for coming on the show.
Tie at 16 or 30? No, give me Beast. I want to talk to Beast.
Buenas tardes, El Drimo.
Let me see the ball.
My balls feel like they've been destroyed in pieces.
Beast, I've been waiting. Show me the ball.
I will get it's right there. Can you just? I'm trying to get him cleaned up. Do I look like a retard to you or something?
Oh. Can you hear me?
It's not right that he's doing that shit. Beast, you gotta show him the gift that he got you, man.
Wow, look at this. Look at this.
There it is, man. That's an excellent gift. You say thank you? Beast, did you say thank you? That's a really awesome gift, bro. Don't salute, say thank you.
Thanks for the tip there, Mr. Dream. And Gary's a coward.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, man.
That's all I wanted.
Oh, hi. Jake wants me to ask you to click on the like button.
That's right, Lane. And if they don't subscribe to the Jake Asman Show, this team may never win another game. Let's go, Jets.